Great. Welcome everyone to another heart-powered inspiring interview. And you know our game, right? Every week we introduce you to an amazing entrepreneur and change maker from all over the world. And today I have for you my amazing friend Lizzie Edwards. And Lizzie, you and I, we actually met the first time in Paris, right?
We did, yeah, we did.
Right?
A few years
I
ago
mean,
now.
feels like an eternity ago, right? But
Oh,
you
it
know,
really
you,
does.
you and I go back quite a few years, which was lovely. And so let me introduce you to our tribe here. Who is actually my friend Lizzie? Lizzie Edwards has been a personal stylist over 15 years, and she specializes in assisting female leaders, helping them to dress with stylish authenticity, and really showing them how clothes can positively impact our self-confidence and in turn our personal and our career success and our with that as well our business success, right? And
True.
Lizzie, I'm a speaker. A lot of people in our community are speakers. Well, how we show up has a major impact on how we are perceived as speakers, right?
Hugely, hugely.
Great. So, and you're also the founder of Elevate, a style membership community for midlife professional and career women,
Mhm.
supporting them to discover and nurture their personal style. And you're also the author of the best-selling book, Look Like the Leader You Are, a 7-step style strategy for ambitious women. Well, there's so much more I can say about you, but hey, first of all, welcome. Great to have
Thank
you today.
you. Thank you so much for asking me. I'm so glad to be speaking to you.
Yes, and you know what? I mean, you always look stylish and you always, I mean, I loved your book and I'm a big fan of yours. So let's get going with, I love the big smile in your face. Let's talk about how do we keep in the current times a smile in our face? How do we stay vibrant and joyful and as we call it in the vortex? What do you do?
Well, it's a few different things. Firstly, I particularly this year, I've been exercising more, just to feel good, like to feel like I'm doing something for myself, having a routine. And that fell apart last year because I had a shoulder injury, so it gradually declined. But I really feel different now. I've picked it up again. So that's one thing. And another thing that, and then it's very tied into what I do, is I make an effort to get dressed every morning. And I'm even like today, yes, I'm speaking to you, but I've got in the habit of bothering to put makeup on, getting dressed. It's very easy to slip into, oh, it doesn't really matter. But I know I'm really practicing what I preach and really noticing how much different I feel when I put different clothes on and I make that effort for myself, even if I'm on my own in my office. It's for myself.
Yes.
So those are the two things. And music, actually. I'm usually quite quiet in my office, but I've recently got into just putting a Spotify playlist on and just having some music on.
I'm so into music as well. As you know, I always call myself the Latina in a German body, right?
Yeah,
Music
you
is so
do.
important to me too. I love it. And you look you look shiny and stunning and amazing as
Oh, thank
always.
you.
I love that. And Lizzie, I know, a lot of people say, hey, you know what, dressing doesn't matter anymore. But hey, you know what, we are all
Oh,
on Zoom. And, I mean, dressing makes all the difference, right? And even
mm,
if, you know, I know a friend of mine, she just recently got awarded at a, what was it called, like a bottom up gala party or dinner or something, right? It was amazing. But still, even what you're dressed, what no one can see, below the chair makes all the difference, right?
mm,
So what do you do right now? And I know there's so many amazing things you do right now to bring your own business to a next level.
mm.
What do you do that, that others can learn from and feel inspired by?
Well, I think the thing that's really, really hit home to me, you know how when you're in business, you're a business owner, as your audience is, you hear these things again and again, and sometimes you're supposed to do it, and then it takes a while sometimes. You need to hear things a lot of times. And for me at the moment, it's getting back into being consistent. So I almost feel that my business life has had a before COVID, and then COVID hit, and it was almost like a pause button was put on and I've just unpaused it. So before COVID, this time last year in January, I've really finally I'm not a routine person. That's just not who I am as a personality. But I decided that every week I was going to post a YouTube video and I was going to send a newsletter. And I did that really consistently. And then COVID hit and I completely stopped. And various things happened in my personal life. My father was sick. I left London. My business basically stopped. I almost put an out of office on my website. I went to care for my dad as he was in his final weeks. And so the idea of producing that content, of doing that YouTube video, of sending that newsletter, it just felt at that particular time like I'm not going to be emailing people about clothes, like literally the last thing people are interested in. So I stopped. And I've basically, what the reason I'm saying this is that paid off. And sometimes I think that we as business owners, we can't see the end. And sometimes doing all that routine stuff, sometimes it feels like you're doing and there's no result. And just at the end of December, I started getting these little emails from YouTube saying, oh, you've got new subscribers to your channel. And I'm like, okay, you know, and gradually, and then by Christmas, it was 25, no, by Christmas, I had 500 subscribers, which for me, from zero at the beginning of the year, I was like, oh, 500 subscribers. Well, that was only the beginning. Over Christmas, there was an absolute avalanche, and I've now got nearly 12,000.
Wow.
And the reason I'm sharing that is that I sort of, if I'd kept it up, it doesn't really matter that I didn't, because it still worked. Like what I did there wasn't wasted. And it's just the kind of the consistency thing. I've unpaused that pause button, and I've now got back onto, you know, putting something up every week, and I've unpaused my newsletter and I'm sending it out every week. But the thing that is that, you know, like I said, you hear these things again and again that you're supposed to do. And sometimes it takes a long time to see the rewards of those efforts, but it is worth it. So it's just about keeping on going when you don't see immediate return. I think that's one of the real lessons that I'm learning in my business now. So just be consistent, consistency.
I love that. It's, oh my God. So congratulations. And I know that last year you went through quite tough times, and wow, congratulations for really finding a way out of it and turning it into even, you know, a success avalanche, which is amazing, right?
It's happened in the background. And it's that thing where sometimes when you put things out there, because of the way of, you know, the internet and things can sit there. It doesn't mean they've disappeared, you know. So you know, so one video that I did, it's now got nearly 190,000 views.
Wow.
And, you know, I'd done the work in that it had some certain keywords and things like that obviously got traction, but it was just sitting there and I didn't know anything was happening. And then suddenly by the time I came back in January, I'd gained 10,000 subscribers in like a week.
Oh, that's amazing.
And now I've got people going, when's the next video? You know, and they're all, you know, so it's like, wow, it's just one of those things where you just never know, you know, you just never know. So it's about keeping on.
Yeah. And also you probably now ask the question, how did I do it so I can replicate it, right?
Oh gosh, people are saying, God, what did you do? And it's like, well, you know, the thing is, if I do something, I do it properly. So when they were put up there, my assistant had put them up, and she hadn't just thrown them up, she'd put up certain keywords and things, but they would, and also I suppose they were true. Like the fact of the matter is the video did what it said on the tin. So there was no, that's obviously the whole, if you give people what they want and they answer the question, you know, and actually the particular email that I did, that went viral was 10 ways to stop wasting money on clothes you never wear. And again, it's really interesting for me, because the other thing that comes out for me is that one of the things, again, you hear all the time when you have your business is you just got to be authentic. You've just got to be who you are, and your tribe will find you. And I know that. And I think that taps into why last year it just felt completely inauthentic for me to be talking about dressing for work, because nobody was it wasn't interesting to me. I had other stuff going on, but also I just thought it's just more noise. There's enough going on in the world. But what's interesting to me is that what the topic that got people's attention was something that's true to my heart. I you know, just because I'm a stylist, I really do try to get people to stop buying clothes. I actually say, look, when you get the clothes right, you don't need to be shopping all the time. You find your personal style, you find your signature style, you have the core basics in. It's not about buying it. It's not about consumption. So it's almost like that was the message that almost kept me being quite small for quite a long time. I always felt like I couldn't be out there, because I thought I'm not somebody who's passionate about the latest handbag or the latest thing, because that's just not who I am. But actually, when I finally made videos that were about the things that do matter to me, like how to stop wasting money on clothes, they were the ones that caught fire. So it's just that thing to your audience to say, look, you just be who you are, be authentic, and just to keep doing it, even if it doesn't look like there's any result of it. Don't give up. And then for me, as I say, I've just unpaused it, and I've now I've also got that other extra thing where I know there's people waiting for the video, which is quite nice. When I put one out a couple of days ago and it's already got 1,500 views. So people are waiting for my content, which makes it feel a little bit less like you're just talking into the ether.
Amazing. And Lizzie, I know everyone would probably beat me up if I'm inviting and interviewing an incredible stylist like yours, and I wouldn't ask you some questions about that, right? So I know a lot of people are online right now, and there's a lot of online speaking. So, do you have some tips on, what should people pay attention to, especially, to feel comfortable, to feel shining, to feel stunning? When we're spending so much time
it's
on.
such a great topic, and it's one that it's so funny because, as I say, last year when people were kind of saying, oh, you could be talking about dressing for Zoom, I was just, oh, I don't want to talk about it. But now I feel that because people feel we're coming out the other side, people might have had the idea that it doesn't really matter what they're wearing. I think people now are a bit over that. So there's a few things I would say to people: if you're doing speaking engagements over Zoom, or any engagements, whether it's an interview or just talking to any business colleague, there's a few things. First of all, really think about your background. And I know that's not the style, but often, again, you can have these. One of the things I talk to people about when they're speaking on stage, because I do have a lot of clients who are senior females, in whether they've got their own business or they work in corporate. And, if they do speaking engagements, and I say, you don't want to be distracting. You want to be memorable, but you don't want to be distracting. You don't want people to be confused by, oh, what's that? She's, oh, how come her shoes are so scruffed? Or how come, something that distracts them from your message. And I think that's the same on Zoom. You don't want something, if in the background you've got really messy shelves, or you've got just stuff hanging around that people are going to be distracted, they're not going to be looking at you. But the other thing that I would say to people is I know that people have got this idea of, oh, I can just dress from the waist up. But I want to really encourage people to, if they're doing a speaking engagement, is to really get fully dressed. If they normally on stage would wear a heel, stand up. I know I'm not standing up now, but if I was doing a speaking engagement, I have got a desk that rises up. I would stand up, and if I was a heel wearer, which I'm not, I would put those heels on. You stand differently, you perform differently, and you will be freer to have the conversation. And the final thing I'll say is, don't think that people don't notice the small things. In my Elevate membership group, which is, you mentioned before, is a styling membership that I've got, we recently did a 5-day wear your wardrobe challenge, where we showed up on Zoom every day, and we basically started wearing clothes that we haven't worn for a long time. And the biggest thing that we all noticed, and it really shocked us actually, is that how much we noticed when somebody had painted their nails or changed their nail color, if they put some different earrings in, like really we noticed. And I think that people can often think, oh, people, if I'm not on stage and can't see people, they're not going to see that. But I can tell you now, if you try that out, if you just put a nail polish on, if you put an earring on, obviously people with the Zoom, they're only seeing a certain amount. Wear a necklace, but don't wear necklace and earrings and a scarf and just one thing. You don't want to have too much going on, but really look at the screen. Give yourself a dry run. As if you went to a venue when you were doing a presentation, you would see the stage, you would work it out. Make sure that you do yourself a Zoom recording first of how you're going to show up, and maybe do that a couple of days before. Don't do it 10 minutes before. Really have a look at, what does that top look like? Because again, I've had people that say, God, I didn't realize until I was on that the way my top fell, it looked like I had no top on. Because if they have a jacket on with a thing and then the screen cuts off there, they can look like they're sitting there without a top on. So it's just, taking the pressure off yourself and giving it a dry run a couple of days before, and just having a look at what it actually looks like on the screen.
I love that. And Lizzie, you and I, we love to actually learn and get inspired, but we also like to turn our inspiration into action, right? So we get results. So what is one thing people can do today as a first thing to get going?
Well, I would say one of the main things that I talk about with clients and people who, particularly obviously my audience and your audience, they run their own businesses or they're senior, is to think about it's not really about the clothes, and it's not really about the image, and it's about that being aligned with who you are and being authentic. So with your audience in mind, what I would suggest they do, most people, and if you haven't already, then it's something that's definitely worth doing, is get your values out, the values that you have written down. If you've done a lot of work on yourself, you'll know what your brand values are, and get onto that Zoom camera. So you can just turn on your Zoom camera now and just see, am I showing up? Does what I'm wearing, does my background, everything, does it show those values? And just to think about, if it doesn't, what can you do today that will make it look like that? So for example, if one of your brand values is approachable, but you're sitting in a very office that's very stark and plain, you know, how could you make it look a little bit more approachable? You might want to have a background with, you know, something like some plants or something like that, just to, and your clothes, obviously I talk about this in the idea of clothes, but to really make sure that your brand values are showing up on the screen and showing up in your clothes and showing up in your environment so that you can project that. And that's something that you could literally do right now. You could get those brand values out and actually, and just do a screenshot and say, right, how am I showing up? Does that show that now?
Beautiful, great. So all of you that are here with us today, first of all, thank you for being here with us every single time in such a loyal way. And as you know, we love to play with you. So, you know, take us on, take up Lizzie's challenge today and just really, do as she suggested, you know, take out your brand values and say, okay, so do I show up like that, right? Do I present that? Am I that? Do I display that? Do I present that? Right? Because a lot of us are on Zoom and other online platforms these days. So again, you know, whatever. And you know what? It's not only that we have a brand, we create a brand every single day, right? With everything we wear, everything we say. So you want to check if your brand values are perfectly presented the way you want it to.
Yeah.
Beautiful, change. So Lizzie, I know a lot of people are probably wanting to connect with you. Where do they find you?
The best place really is on my YouTube channel, like I mentioned before. So that's Lizzie Edwards. You'll find that in YouTube, and also I'm on Instagram, which is Lizzie Edwards UK, and my website is lizzieedwards.com. And on there you can see there's the tab for my membership if you're interested in finding out more about that, or just my one-to-one services, which obviously aren't currently running, but that's where my information is.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for being on with us today. And
thank you for having me.
You know, every time there's something inspiring that I pick up myself, you know, I'm blessed to be able to call you my friend and be in touch and learn from you in so many different ways. And all of you, thank you for being on with us. And again, as you know, every week, we don't only want to inspire you, we also like you to take concrete action. So play with us on the challenge today from Lizzie and share with us what's coming up for you. And if you're not part of our HeartPowered Global Nation yet, please join us there, because that is where you meet other amazing entrepreneurs, change makers, you know, speakers from around the globe like Lizzie. So join us there. Okay. Thank you, Lizzie, for being on with us today. And all of you have a fabulous day, have a fabulous week. And we're back next week with another one of our heart-powered, inspiring interviews for you.
Thanks,
until then. Bye.